Hi, I'm Victor Lambs, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. Joining me today are Jeff Hecker. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Victor.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Victor.
And today we're discussing the 7th episode of Season 2 of Stargate Atlantis, Instinct. Colonel John Shepard and his team visit a village on an uncharted planet where they learn that the villagers have spent the past 10 years plagued by a Wraith in the woods who hunts them while they sleep. After investigating, they learn of a Wraith child, Elia, who was raised by a villager, Zadok, after the Wraith ship crashed. The team initially believes Elia is the Wraith who must be hunted, but the situation becomes complex as they uncover truths about Elia's upbringing and the existence of another Wraith. Efforts to control Elia's Wraith nature with experimental science backfire, leading to dangerous consequences for the team and the villagers. What did you think of this episode, Lisa?
I like this episode. I thought it was a great way to kind of move forward what we know about the Wraith. You know, now we know that they eat food as children and then go through puberty and became life-sucking Wraith. And nice twist. I was trying to think of who was the main team member on this episode, and I really didn't come up with one. I felt like they all had a little bit of mix, which was nice. And then you get the little twist at the end where the dad is really the son, and all this. And I liked it. And of course, I guess I shouldn't say anything before I say that Jewel, is it Sate? Is that how you say her name? State. She did fabulous as the Elia, as the Wraith girl. And it was her first time on Atlantis, and we will see her much, much later. And she was a great guest star.
Absolutely. What did you think of this episode, Jeff?
Yeah, I would agree. This was a good one. It kind of continues a little bit of an arc of like learning the Wraith are more than what we knew them to be, and it's kind of setting things up. I think this may be the first one where Beckett's talking about a retrovirus to turn Wraith back into humans. We're going to see that much probably in this season or next season coming up. And yeah, learning Elia's, there's more to Wraith than just mindless. They're not just mindless, hungry machines. There's politics. There's things. There's personalities. They're more than they seem to be, and I think that's an interesting dynamic that we'll see play out in upcoming episodes and upcoming shows. And yeah, the ending on a little bit of a kind of a cliffhanger. We'll see in the next Atlantis episode the outcome of this, but yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I mean, right from the beginning, we're kind of hit with this kind of gothic horror, monster movie Frankenstein vibe, and that carries through the episode. And it's not the last time we'll see Atlantis kind of go into straight, classic horror territory. So I really liked it for that. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's a really good episode. It's not what I would call uplifting. It's not a feel-good episode necessarily, but it is really good. Written by Trina Hancock and Melissa R. Beyer, who pitched the story idea. Originally, it was going to be like a little boy Wraith. And then the main writers of the show kind of took over, introduced the thing about the retrovirus, mainly to solve story problems in this. But again, that becomes a major plot point and story point for the next few seasons even. So I really like it. Echo what you said about Jewel State. They actually had her come in and audition, and then they realized, like, why are we having her audition? Of course we want her on the show. And then they immediately felt guilty about burying her in, layers of latex prosthetics and stuff. But she did phenomenally well, and I'm really glad that they even noted on the commentary, it's like, hey, we could have her back at some point as a human character. And the commentary was recorded before, she comes back as a regular cast member. So, yeah, I really like it. There's, it's just a really good self-contained kind of episode. Again, it seems funny to say that because it is essentially part one of a two-parter.
Mm-hmm. And we get something that is very classic and wonderful in Atlantis as we get McKay's interaction with a child.
Yes. Yeah, go away, kid. You're bothering me. Pretty much.
I think they throw those in just for a little bit of humor, and I love it. I love that it's consistent and throughout the show.
Yeah, we get a lot of really good, McKay's. He's not, as you said, he's not the central character on this episode. He doesn't have a terrible amount to do, but he's there to kind of, be McKay when we need him to.
Mm-hmm. And they pair him up with Beckett again, which I think McKay does almost best when he's paired up with one of his, we'll say his buddies. It's usually either Shepard, Beckett, or Zelinka. And that's when he really shines, is bouncing off one of them. And he and Beckett did really great today in this episode. like at the scene where Beckett's looking through the microscope or whatever, and McKay's, talking. And Beckett's like, this actually takes concentration.
Yeah.
And then McKay's like, I studied biology, but then I became a hypochondriac back then. And
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it? No.
Yeah.
I would say they just do really well together. It's a good pairing.
Yeah. And I like that we basically are on our like two favorite sets in this episode, which is the big, set that they built in the effects stage of the village, only they've dressed it up with like lots of moss and stuff. And then we go out to the nature preserve outside of Vancouver, and they've actually put moss there as well to make it look, more mossy and mysterious and stuff. So it's good to see them, reusing locations we've seen, but in a new way. So I appreciate that too. And of course, we get our cave set as well from Avalon. That makes another appearance. We saw that in Runner as well. So
as a former mine this time.
Yes, as a former mine this time. Yeah. And not to get too off topic here, but Zadok's laboratory. If you, I learned this from watching the featurette on the Blu-rays, but if you look closely, you'll see the Gould Queen tank from Cure is in the background, as well as Hathor's little kind of containment vessel for all of the little Gould larvae is there as well. Oh, yeah, wow. You can't really see it in the episode, but it's in the background there.
So that basically the prop people just went into the warehouse and went, what do we have?
Exactly. It was pretty much a direct homage to Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory and all the great Frankenstein movies and stuff. So we have all sorts of mad sciencey bubbling cauldrons and, things that they presumably use to titrate or something there as well. But, we start off in the village, and, the villagers are there, and it's like, who are these strangers who have come to our world? How do they not know of the monster that lives outside our walls and stuff?
Yeah, they first say, how are you from far away, or are you from across the mountains? And because they come in, the team comes into the tavern, and it's your classic out of towners come into the local bar, and everyone stops what they're doing and looks at them and sizes them up, who are these people coming into on our turf? And then they the bartender says, okay, come on in, have a seat. Where are you from? And far away, from over the mountains. Oh, further, okay. Yeah. And then they kind of then they start to hear this legend or story of a wraith or something that's hunting people at night. I think they call it the Demos or the Demos or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, we can help with this problem. We're good at killing wraith.
Yeah. A couple of things. One, I thought it was interesting that we learn that the team is just going and exploring other worlds. We didn't get that they had a purpose. They weren't looking for something specific there. They were just, I guess, scouting out to make friends, to see what was going on, to see if they had anything to offer them. And then two, I thought it was really interesting that this world didn't know the Wraith. Recently, and at least within a generation or two, they didn't know, they couldn't put a name to this, which I found interesting because I don't think they'd really run into another world that doesn't have any recent memory of the Wraith.
Yeah, that was kind of a something I noticed as well. They say, oh yeah, we haven't seen any Wraiths since the last culling. And, what we've learned in the show is that the Wraith have awakened and they're just mass culling worlds and stuff, right? So they should have seen a culling more recently, but Yeah, the fact that they didn't put it together that this, creature that sucks the life out of you bears some resemblance, but maybe their records. We have seen cases where the records, of the Wraith have been lost or, and such. So that's
Yeah.
maybe a little understandable. They do kind of hand wave that away a little bit.
But because of that, I guess the first time I saw it, I really thought we were gonna there was gonna be something unique about this world that they hadn't seen the Wraith in a while, and da da da. But no, it really
I
wasn't
mean,
the
it could
case.
just be a forgotten planet or something, or the Wraith who culled it before had been blown up or killed by other Wraith or by somebody else or by the Ancients. So, and it doesn't seem like the Wraith have a centralized database of their feeding grounds. Like it's probably like each hive has their own kind of records and they go back to, and then maybe if you can take over another hive ship, you can find their records, like almost kind of like the Gould, where they would have their own realms and not necessarily know everything about the other, what the other Gould have, except kind of how it affects them in particular. So could be just that Wraith hive that attacked them is no longer a threat anymore, or is no longer there.
Yeah, and we do learn in a flashback that there was a Wraith cruiser that visited their planet 10 years ago and crashed, and we get this flashback scene of basically the villagers finding these strangers who have crashed on their planet, and they don't look like them, and so they do pretty much what any human being would do. They kill their survivors and burn the bodies. Which
is that what happens in your neck of the woods?
Well, I mean, I think that's a sensible thing to do if you find a crashed alien spaceship and you don't know why they're here.
I think you've watched too many sci-fi shows. You don't just presume they're there in peace. Come on.
No. Any alien race that lands on your planet or lands on our planet, I would say is not here coming in peace. At this stage in our development anyways, I would say. So
I liked Ronan's reaction. Like, I can't remember what he said, but like, wise move or something like.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. But we learned that one of the Wraith, or actually two of the Wraith, weren't killed because one is out hunting the villagers and killing them. And then one of which we, as the team goes off to explore, Ronan's like, one Wraith, great, I'll be back, before daylight. He's no problem for Ronan. But as they go out and, Tayla kind of zeroes in on it, and she realizes that this Wraith is a little different than the other race she's sensed before. And they see, the Wraith off in the distance running around. They track her back to the cave, and they soon discover that she is not what they've come to know as the Wraith.
It's a Wraith that offers tea.
Yes, and biscuits. Yeah.
And myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and of course, it's played by Jewel State, who plays kind of the, obviously Kaylee and Firefly as she had just come off of that show, but plays Elia like so perfectly. There's a scene where Radek is trying to coach her on how to make this serum that's supposed to be what keeps her from needing to feed, and like, why do we, distill the root? And she's like, so it's not toxic, Father. And it's just really good how she's kind of just, a normal teenager, but not so normal either.
Yeah, she did a great job playing a Wraith that was more human than Wraith, but you never forgot that something was up. She wasn't completely normal, but she wasn't completely Wraith either. And that was the first time we've seen that kind of split, which was fascinating to think about, that they don't. Have we ever really seen a female Wraith besides a queen?
No, not besides the yoga instructor queen. The actress who plays the Wraith queen is a yoga instructor. But no, and the Wraith nature is just buried beneath the skin there, because when she does offer Ronan tea and he refuses, and she comes out with a plate of biscuits, he knocks it onto the floor, and she reacts, by doing a Wraith scream at him like very loudly, and he almost shoots her on the spot.
Yeah, and as far as the female Wraith goes, this is my own headcanon, but I kind of always assume that a female Wraith, they're kind of like insects, because they're based off of Aratus bugs, and that maybe any female born is a potential queen for the hive, and maybe there's there's probably a lot more male Wraith born than female Wraith, just because you have the drones, and then you have kind of the middle class, the middle Wraith who are like the ones we've met that are kind of running the ships, running the one in Condemned, that kind of running everything, and then you have the overall queen who's kind of overall in charge. So I kind of think that maybe she was potentially going to be a queen, or if she had been fully raised within a Wraith hive, she would have been a potential queen in the hive. So
yeah, that's interesting. As you were saying that, it did. Yeah, maybe that's what the whole mission was about, was transporting a potential queen, and then we don't know why the ship crashed, but crash it did.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and so the scientist, and I keep wanting to say Radek, but it's
Zadok,
I like
isn't it?
Zadok, yes. He is believed that he has perfected this serum, which will negate her need to feed on humans, and it's kind of this really tragic, ironic story where he thinks he's succeeded and that she hasn't been feeding on humans, but we soon learn that she has been kind of sneaking out of the house and eating people when the other Wraith is hiding. So there is another Wraith running around as well. And Tayla coaches Elia on how to use her Wraith vision to find out where the other Wraith is holed up.
Then we find out she really doesn't need a coacher. She knows where he is and what he's doing.
Yeah,
That's
true.
how she times up with him to feed when he's feeding, so she doesn't get this. I did think the whole background story of Elia and Zadok was very tragic. I mean, tragic is a good word for it. That he had just gone through this personal tragedy of losing his wife and child, and then sees a child Wraith in the crash, and knows that the other villagers are going to kill her, and he takes her and he raises her, and he wants so badly to cure her of this, to save her from this destiny, and to the point where he lets her feed on him, as we find out a few times, and then he loves her so much and tries to teach her to be a human and to be good and kind, and as Tayla says, to know right from wrong. And then in so much it works in that when the potion doesn't work, when the treatment doesn't work for Elia, she can't bear to tell him, because she doesn't want to break his heart that it's not working. And that, I mean, that's so interesting if you think about it. And so non-Wraith-like of what they have so far in the show told us what Wraith are like. So, I mean, talk about a nature versus nurture discussion. It all go back to college psychology,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a really deep episode in that respect as well. And, there's another heartbreaking scene where, Dr. Beckett is talking to Zadok, and, he's saying, like, even if, this works, would the people ever accept her? And he's saying, and Zadok is saying, no, I don't think they ever would. And Elia is listening into all of this and realizing that, nothing looks pretty bleak for her in terms of being able to fit in as a human. And then Beckett kind of says, hey, check this out. We're working on this retrovirus. It doesn't work at all, but, maybe someday it'll work, and then leaves.
Yeah, let us experiment on her. Sure.
Yeah, and then leaves of course, he leaves the case, and they're unlocked, and Elia, of course, makes the tragic decision to inject herself with the retrovirus, which she hopes will make her fully human, but of course it has the opposite effect and makes her more fully bug than before.
I like that they didn't have her make her more Wraith. It made her more bug. I mean, it went in a different direction than what we were expecting, even though it was kind of crazy.
Because I think, because humans are, they're hybrids with the Aratus bug. So you want to get rid of the bug, keep the human, but obviously the formula isn't perfected yet, and made her more bug than human. So, and but she does manage to save Rodney and Carson, though. So she kind of had her little redemption there in saving them from the other Wraith, which I don't think ever talked or had a name or anything. It was just the Wraith, the I guess you can call it the Deimos, or I forget what they call it, the Demos or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but even that, they then say like she may have just been acting on instinct and just
Right.
killing anything that came into her path and stuff. So, but very very glad that she did. Otherwise, Rodney and
We'd like
Beckett
to
would be dead.
believe that the human part of her was fighting the internal struggle and like trying to save the humans who'd been nice to her whole life. So we can believe that. And then unfortunately, Zadok dies, but before that, he gets to reconnect with his father.
Yes.
Which was a really powerful scene if you think about it, because he'd gone missing and they presumed dead. And then you realize he'd been hiding all these years so close to his family, yet didn't see them at all. And then you realize how much she had fed on him.
Yeah. It's like, how can you be my son? You're older than I am. But yeah, so we do get, and then we get more flashbacks and stuff, which are pretty effective at that. Before that, the villagers are out with their pitchforks and torches essentially to find the monster. It seems that Shepard and the Atlantis team were a little too effective at, instilling them with the desire to defend themselves. And but we get some pretty like gruesome and gooey, Wraith victims in this episode too.
Worse than usually, aren't they? Usually just like skeletons or like dried skin skeletons.
Mummies.
Yeah, this was a little much. Yeah.
Yeah, it was directed by Andy Makita, who is a great director, great Stargate director, and I think he really leaned into the kind of classic horror on this episode too, which I think makes it effective. You can understand why the villagers would be wanting to take matters into their own hands.
Just took them 10 years and strangers from another planet to give them the confidence to go try it. Well, I take that back. They did kill the original survivors and burn them. So, but I hadn't made the connection that you just did to Frankenstein. I mean, you said it about the lab, but then you realized like going out to search for the monster with pitchforks and fire and all that does give you reminiscent of old Frankenstein movies.
Yeah, and sure, the monster is a monster, but it's more than a monster too. I mean, we'll see Wraith hybrid monsters later on in season 4 or 5. I forget exactly when it is, in a very scary episode. But yeah, so and then there's the big showdown where Elia attacks and the Atlantis team has to chase after her to catch her, and in the process, Tayla's wounded, and Shepard takes off his coat to use as a pillow and exposes his arm, which will have dire consequences. And we get a really good scene between Tayla and Ronan, where Ronan wants to go after Shepard and help him, but Shepard has ordered both of them to stay there, and then he's like, Taylor's like, go help him. And he's like, but he ordered us to stay here. And she's like, sometimes you need to disobey orders. And he's like, well, when do I know to do that? And I like that scene a lot.
Yeah. Again, more of Tayla helping Ronan, like decode what it means to be part of the team. And I like that, their kind of partnership in that way. I'd forgotten about the blood on the arm. I haven't watched the next episode yet in like 10 years. So I'd forgotten about that. So you just, because I was thinking, man, they're making a really big deal about him. Look at it. She tried to feed on your arm, dude, not your chest. It's fine. But see, I'd forgotten.
Yeah, and there is a kind of a funny moment earlier where I think she tries to feed on Rodney, or the other Wraith does, but doesn't get very far because it was the other Wraith, and then Elia snaps his neck, and we get this really funny scene of McKay like kind of just checking, to make sure that he doesn't have any marks on his chest or anything.
And I'm like, why don't you zip up all your? I mean, like, think about it. When you zip up everything you have on, and I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter.
Wear like a vest or something. Yeah.
Because he didn't. His jacket was all unzipped.
I feel like they need to like give them, Kevlar weave, sleeves and stuff too. Because
exactly.
like any point a Wraith can. Yeah, I mean, we've mainly seen the chest probably because that's where that's probably where the strongest life signal is in the human body, but. And they could probably get it from anywhere if they really wanted to, like an arm or leg or anything. So But yeah, that's the first time we see it, which also kind of indicates that she wasn't, she had gone further animal or further bug than Wraith
Mhm.
at the moment. So she was just trying to, whatever she could get a bite of, that's what she was going for.
Yeah, and then we get another tragic moment where, after a fight, Shepard and Ronan have no choice but to put her down,
Mhm.
and they're like, no, not Kaylee. I mean, not Jewel State.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they
I
do kind
think
of
that
say
was
like, we had no choice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the proper ending though.
Yeah.
Because I mean you think to its logical conclusion, if she had lived, then what? What were they gonna do with her? And of course, knowing Stargate shows, they'd probably just be like, just y'all are gonna take care of it and we'll just see you later. And like would never,
Or
like they
they
would have
bring her
just
back
left
to
her there and
Atlantis.
let we're done.
Yeah.
Or they bring her back to Atlantis and say, we'll just take care of you for
Okay.
forever, like we do all these other random
Yeah.
people that we come
Just
that
lock you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it fits her character. I mean, the tragic nature of what was going on with her. I think I hate to say that, but I think it just fit with the storyline really well. I mean, it was a very dark episode if you think about it. Not just the lighting, because the lighting was dark, but it really was.
Yeah, like I said, it's a really good episode, but it's not like an uplifting one. The heroes win, but at what cost?
Mhm.
Who are the real monsters? I don't know. But
Yeah, both father and daughter, adopted daughter, foster daughter, whatever. I mean, they both die in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And Shepard gets infected, which we'll see more of next episode there.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else about this episode? It,
The problem with the good ones, right?
Yeah, really, like I said, the scenery is really cool. I do like them, running around the Vancouver nature preserves again, and so that was done effectively.
And the prosthetics were amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. They did a good job. They didn't want to make her look completely Wraith-like because it would have, covered up her ability to emote, which Jewel State does very well through the makeup.
And they
make her more sympathetic.
gave
too.
her voice like the half Wraith, half human kind of creepy sound, which was really nice.
Yeah.
And then when she took the whatever it was called, and she started changing the blue, that they had the blue kind of spreading over her. That was, I mean, it was very well done. I hadn't looked to see if they won any awards for makeup in this one, but I could see it if they did, or at least be nominated.
Yeah. So a good episode. I guess any other thoughts on this, or?
I was going to say we did see Weir for half a minute.
Yes, we did. We were on Atlantis for about half a minute. I was thinking, was this the first episode where we're not on? Well, one of the first where we're not on Atlantis at all. But no, we did pop back in so that Tori Higginson could get a paycheck that week. I guess.
I just found it odd that she was trying not to. She actually encouraged Beckett not to go, and it kind of made me wonder why. Was something else going on?
Yeah, it gives us a chance to see Beckett lug around his big, heavy crates of medical equipment and stuff, which is because they have to bring that stuff everywhere they go. And his computer and his little microscope thingy, and
yeah. And then they say that the fact that she was able to eat until she was a teenager, and that gave Shepard the chance to quip about puberty and teenagers, which was kind of funny. But they said that
they do like to eat.
Beckett had wondered why they had stomachs and stuff if they don't need to eat because they feed. So,
yeah,
I like the way that they're filling us in on the Wraith. Every episode or so we get more kind of about who they are and how they evolved.
Another mystery solved.
Good thing she didn't develop a taste for wine like that other guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing else for me, I think. This was a good one. And yeah, there was also I was going to say a little earlier, there was, along with Frankenstein, there was a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde going on too with Elia, with the the good side versus the bad side, and being unable to control it in the end. So yeah, they definitely drew from those kind of horror archetypes, and of course with the Wraith are vampires basically. So there's you got Dracula in there too. So
lots of monsters.
yeah. But no, this is a good one, and yeah, we'll see what happens with the next one with where this leaves us. So
what about any foreign language titles? Anyone?
Yeah, in most cases it was just instinct, but in Japanese we did get Kanashiki Hono, which means lamentable instinct.
Oh.
Yeah, I like that one. So yeah, good episode. Check it out. Just don't expect it to be the feel good episode of the summer there. But we did get some feedback on our previous episodes through YouTube. On episode 195, which was Beachhead, Goat is my name, responded, I thoroughly enjoy Vala. She's a hard pendulum swing away from the somber Stargate back towards the silly Stargate. And it doesn't hurt that Claudia Black is the stuff teenage boys' dreams are made of. So, and no, that doesn't hurt at all.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I think that might have been a decision in the casting there. And then in feedback on episode 196, which is Trinity, Professor McCoy writes, wow, Victor, I'm genuinely impressed that you got my name pronounced right. And I will say, because it's it doesn't look like McCoy necessarily, but if I did, peek at his channel, and Professor McCoy is actually a philosophy professor. So
cool.
Make sure you check out the channel there for some good philosophy videos. And the comment continues. Anyway, I like to think of this, and then again, this is Trinity, which is where McKay kind of goes overboard and blows up a solar system. I like to
5/6.
5/6 of the solar system, correct. Anyway, I like to think of this as a lead up to the few episodes with Rodney's sister, most of which follow the same theme of Meredith, Rodney's first name, learning caution in his scientific endeavors. And that's certainly true. We'll see more of that in the future as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for the comments. We really appreciate them. And just to wrap up, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Secrets of Stargate, including Roberto B., Don T., Gerard T., Buck and Julianne T., and Mark A. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows on StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or find our video versions at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. And to find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. You can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on X at SQPN. And I will say that on X, there is a large and vibrant Stargate community. So it's worth looking up there. And I understand, Lisa, there is also one on Facebook as well.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of really big Facebook groups on Facebook. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I definitely see Stargate seeing more of a resurgence, even just over the last couple of years. So that's really encouraging to see. And we will be back next time with the next episode of Stargate SG-1, Babylon. Until then, Jeff Hecker, thank you for joining us on this and sharing the secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Victor.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Victor.
And once again, I'm Victor Lambs. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest. And, let's not forget the food.
Always, Rodney.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?